Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel. You got your boys here, Lanny and Bert, the Dividend Diplomats. Today it's Monday, so you know what that means. It's our podcast Monday extravaganza. That is a mouthful, but that's where I'm going today with the potential title. Don't worry, guys, that's not going to be sticking to it. I'm just having some fun with you. We're going to talk to you about 4 stories of what's went on and what's happened in the market and how it may impact our portfolios, your portfolios, or overall just the market sentiment to help us find some undervalued dividend stocks.
Smash that subscribe button. Give your boys here a nice thumbs up. Yes, we are back with another Monday stock break podcast episode here. Not just stocks today, actually. We're going to
No.
dip a little bit outside from the macro standpoint.
Ooh.
But yeah, dropping 4 pieces of news that hit the first week of July through the July 4th weekend, guys. Some pretty big things, a lot of stock movements happening, a lot of big outside of the stock market movements happening as well.
Yeah, so I just want to ask before we jump in, just some feedback on this overall. Where I'm curious, are you watching this on regular YouTube or are you finding this in YouTube Music where the podcasts are? Because we're testing it out on how it works. So we'd be curious, are you watching this on YouTube or did you find this on YouTube Music and you're listening on the podcast platform?
Yeah, definitely let us know in the comments, guys. But Bert, man,
Let's do it. Let's talk through
big,
it.
big stock split that we talked about a little bit ago, and what's so far a couple weeks post, smoke, what is it looking like?
Yeah, we're going to talk about Chipotle here as our first stock here. And yeah, it was a pretty famous 50-to-1 stock split for Chipotle that happened on June 28th. What's actually been interesting with Chipotle is the stock is down. Post stock split, they're down. They came up this week. They had a little bumpy week, but Chipotle's been struggling to find its footing over the last few weeks. And I think that's fascinating here because usually when you look at some, like you look at Nvidia stock split, which way has Nvidia stock price gone up? It's gone up. So it's like the expectation more retail investors can get in, more people can buy Chipotle at a more affordable share price. They're no longer in the huge one. They're now $62 per share today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we hinted that this probably opens up the game for a lot of option investors. They did finish off Friday up a couple percent. The last 5 days, they finished up about 1%. But stock is up 40% plus this year. Again, the price is down overall since that mid-June, stock split announcement. And hey, this is Chipotle, guys. That earnings multiple is just still absurd. It's
Yeah.
trading at what, 50 to 60 times earnings right now. So I'm just
Hmm.
trying to see what's going on there.
Yeah, and it seems as if from that mid-June 16th point, it seems like they're catching a lot of the same flack like your McDonald's are and a lot of your other restaurants, more so that the consumers might just be tapped out from spending. So you're seeing a little bit of pressure, a little bit of pullback for consumers that just are eating in versus eating out. So I think that's more of what's hitting Chipotle than anything else versus something that's was caused from the stock split or what's been happening here. That's just my perspective on it. Right now, I think it's a very fascinating story to read, and I think it's important for people who've been like, it's down over the last month to take that step back and look at it and be like, wow, they're murdering it so far this year in 2024. As you said, they're up 40%, 52 weeks, they're up 51%. So Chipotle could not be more on fire when you scope out and look at the full year versus just the last month.
And again, it's still, it could be a very filling meal for you or a family. There's plenty of hacks out there to get more out of Chipotle in one meal. Definitely a ton of YouTube videos on that. So you could make it very, relatively healthy as well. Going there. Overall, I think it's a great company, but
Okay.
man, the earnings that is still slacked on this thing is just absurd. So I'm
Yeah.
not buying Chipotle right now
No,
myself.
but watching because it's a fascinating tale to see what's going on over there. Number two, jobs, 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 and even more jobs. There was released this last week. The economy put in 206,000 jobs, which was in line with the expectations. The big news that came out of it, though, unemployment ticked up over 4%. It was 4.1%, which was an increase. What happened? Interest rates came down as a result. You're seeing the 10-year rate come down. You're seeing the 2-year rates come down. And why is that, Lanny? What are people thinking may happen now if there's more news that's indicative of a soft landing in this economy?
Well, there's additional pricing in that, again, that an interest rate cut or reduction could happen. If you use the CME Fed Watch tool, you kind of always look at the September one. That's going to be the true one because July they're really saying no. But the expectations are is that come September, you might get your first rate cut again. Over 70% are estimating that there is the first rate cut come September. Um, some even are saying that come by the end of the year, you might get that second one.
Yeah.
So majority of expectations are that there could be two by the end of the year. Let's get to the first one first. And
Yeah.
plus, there's still 60 days more of data between now and September. So, you
Yeah.
know, market reacts quickly and they never think long.
No.
So,
Everyone's looking for the news, like any piece of news that will be indicative of the rate cut. So we'll see. Something could change in the other way. The economy could show signs of being hot next week. We're getting more data that's coming out, especially at quarter end. Take this one with a grain of salt. I would say if you see more of these types of reports that continue to say the same narrative, such as soft landing, where jobs were added at a slower pace, prices increased at a lower rate, more news that shows that things are getting better, the more likely it is that you will see that rate cut later on in the year. But one story is not going to say one thing one way or the other.
yeah, I'm not getting too bent up by the jobs report here. And jobs report will be old news in here in a few weeks. But
Yeah.
number three, though, talking about Chipotle as a growth stock, let's get into another growth stock that has been on fire the
Yeah.
last, couple weeks.
Not literally. Their vehicles haven't literally been on fire. This stock price has absolutely been on fire. We're talking Tesla, ticker symbol TSLA. And this is just such a big news story, no matter what. It's hard for us to ignore what's going on. It all started with Elon Musk's pay package getting approved. What was that, 3 or 4 weeks ago? And ever since then, man, Lanny, this company has been on fire. They beat the very low bar that was set for themselves. Q2 deliveries crushed their low expectations. So analysts in the market were obviously very excited to see that they stepped over the bar that's barely above the ground. But with that, it was over, what was it, 444,000 of deliveries, beat the consensus estimate of 439,000. And that's really what shot things up along with some future plans.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I've seen my share, about a handful of cyber trucks as well on the
Yeah.
roads the last month or so. So it's very interesting to see those futuristic cars out there.
Do you like the
But
design of the Cybertruck, Lanny?
no, not at all. Ugliest thing in the world. Hate it. Bring it,
Same.
guys.
Oh, I'm with
Uh,
you. I'm with you. I think it looks ridiculous.
the Robotaxi plans in August. Again, I think they're now able to hopefully focus on the business with the attention off of Elon.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I think they said August 8th, or it's right around that point where you're gonna see what the big plans are for the Robotaxi. So Elon and Tesla are very good at hyping up their new deliveries. They're very good at hyping up new product and what's coming down the pipeline. So I expect that to be an absolutely wild event and some huge news for what the future is going to look like for Tesla. So stay tuned, investors.
All right, Bird, let's step outside of the stock market here on this next
Hmm.
story.
Crypto, we're talking Bitcoin because again, just like Tesla, can't ignore what's been going on in the Bitcoin world. They are down 8% this week, but it was down even more. It finished just below 57,000 at the time we're recording this video, so it was down 8% over the last 5 days. But the lowest point during this week was 54,000. So Bitcoin had a huge drop, and then it popped back up a little bit popped back up from that low. What's been going on? I'm not going to pretend like I had any idea about this going on. This Mt. Gox, this Bitcoin exchange that collapsed in 2014, they're finally starting to pay out creditors in Bitcoin. So from what I've been reading, and honestly, people keep me honest here too, a lot of creditors are getting their Bitcoin back. They're liquidating it because they want their money. They've been waiting 10 years for this exchange to give them their darn money that they owed them. So they're selling it, taking the cash, and they're going. So a lot of supply just hit the market for Bitcoin. Price comes down.
Yeah, no, I mean you hit it on the head again. down between 17 and 20% over the last month. Yeah, it's always fun to see, what's going on in the 1 trillion plus market cap that is Bitcoin. Again, trade now still hovering, I think at the time of this video, 57 and a quarter, maybe. That's 57,000. And it's funny, Brent and I were just joking around, but there aren't that many companies with the market cap in the stock market bigger than Bitcoin.
Mm,
So yeah, Bitcoin making news, making headlines. Congrats to hopefully Mt. Gox creditors getting some sort of dollars or currency or crypto back from that long waiting period, which I heard was majority of it still slightly delayed into October. So we'll have to see there, and then obviously we'll have to see what happens once FTX does their big distribution out to their creditors, because if this is Mt. Gox, FTX I believe is much bigger than Mt. Gox, so we'll see some, I'm assuming, some sort of turbulence during that period as well.
a lot more supply hitting there because think of how many people had their savings and how much locked up in FTX. They're biting at the chops to get that money back, and that's probably not going to be sitting in a different kind of exchange. I would assume people are a little burned from this experience, going to bring it back to the system, sell some Bitcoin, and then dabble their toes in if anything. It's not going to be the
Yeah,
same way anymore.
and I think on top of that, not only was it the Mt. Gox thing, I think the German government was also trying to sell out of some of their Bitcoin that they held. So I think you've got, outflows happening there. Now, I'm not sure about what the net inflows, outflows have been on the Bitcoin ETFs, but it seems like it's been a pretty successful ETF from
Mhm.
just the broker side of things.
Yeah, get more stability in the system. I think that's going to be very helpful, and it's going to prove to be a very useful engine for people that want to buy Bitcoin without going through the hassle. Going through the hassle.
Yeah, insane. I
Hmm.
mean, I just read here that the German government transferred a total of 1,300 Bitcoin.
All right.
Uh, so that's a lot.
Yeah. So
Uh,
it's interesting. That's another liquidation again. So again, a lot of supply. A lot of supply is going to be hitting the market here. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the price. Maybe there's an opportunity for people to buy in at a lower amount too.
my gosh, guys, let us
Yeah.
know if you guys bought any Bitcoin while it was below 55,000. I know Bert and I were messaging about it. So curious what you guys did. Let us know in those comments.
If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Give this video good old-fashioned thumbs up. And remember, you're either with us or you're against us, Jack.
That was Bert the Hurt and Lanny from the Dividend Diplomats. Over and out.